Hi, this is Bishop Craig in Lansing, and this is Take One for the week of February 6th. Peace be with you. I have a full week this week. Zoom meetings with pastors on Monday, the executive committee meeting, and another couple of appointments tomorrow. And I'm recording the sermon this week, so I'll be doing that by tomorrow as well. On Wednesday is Synod staff and our copious hosting book study on ministry with persons with disabilities. On Thursday, there's another session on anger, sponsored by the ELCA and the Conference of Bishops. And I think the newsletter is due. The submissions for the newsletter is due on Thursday. And then on Friday is Synod Council. So I expect this to be a full week. So lots of Zoom. The gospel reading for Sunday, I don't want to give it away, seeing I'm preaching, but it's Jesus' Sermon on the Plain. In Matthew, Jesus has a Sermon on the Mount. He goes up the mountain and gives a new law like Moses. And in Luke, Jesus comes down to a level place after healing and casting out demons and displaying that he has the power of God. And then Jesus describes the new reality that God is bringing. And he describes it in terms of blessings. Some will be blessed. And woes. Some will experience loss. This new reality is going to be hard. And what the blessings and the woes do is realize the gap that exists, reveals the gap that exists between, let's say, the rich and the poor. So this is the reality that God is bringing. He's going to level things out, if you will. And so, I hear a lot about getting back to normal. And you try to help people understand that we won't be getting back to normal. If by normal we mean the old normal, COVID will change those things. But God is not bringing things back to normal. There will be a new normal eventually, God's new normal. The good news in all this, I think, is that it is God's new normal. That's something we make. And so if we're one of those who in this normal would hear the word woe, because maybe we're rich, the good news, I think, is even though we may lose in this new normal, we will not be lost, because we are all precious to God. So the choice we need to make is, are we going to kind of lean in and cooperate and participate in God's new normal, or are we going to resist it? And that's a big question that begins, I think, with how we're going to move on from a pandemic, where things are going to be different. So the sermon is taking shape, and I hope you get to see it on Sunday. I'm reading rostered minister reports. Rostered ministers are expected to provide an annual report to the bishop every January, and we receive them each week and read them on Thursday and respond to them, and I think the responses are coming out on Friday, and I believe we've been through maybe 30 of those. So I want to thank those who have submitted their rostered minister reports and encourage rostered ministers to do that because we find it helpful. I am concerned because I am getting from these reports, at least some of them, that pastors are really tired of fighting with their parishioners over everything. I posted an article on Facebook a while back, I guess, about pastors walking away from ministry because they're just done fighting. It's compassion fatigue. And even there, the response on the comments was basically, if pastors can't take it, then that's sad. And it is sad. But, if the church's mission is to beat up on pastors, that's sad too. So pastors are, I hear from young pastors every week that used to be my students that are walking away. More senior pastors are saying maybe it's time to retire. And there are 1,000, I think, available full-time pulpits in the ELCA. So, if you've decided the pastor is the target of your anger and the way you're going to show that you don't need to cooperate, all I can say is there will be implications of those decisions. So maybe everybody needs to take a look at how we're all getting along. Take a deep breath. I'm reminded of some words from the installation service. I asked the congregation, will you pray for your pastor? Help and honor your pastor for their work's sake. And in all things strive to live together in the peace and harmony of Christ. Probably a good time to take a deep breath, for congregational leaders to look to each other and say, how are we doing at that? Praying for our pastor. Help and honoring our pastor for their work's sake, and in all things striving to live in the peace and harmony of Christ. And of course, pastors, we need to remember what we have promised at installation, to love our people, to nourish them with the word and sacraments, and to lead them by our own example in faithful service and holy living. So Lent is coming, right? Maybe the way to get ready for Lent is for us to begin some self-examination now. For the sake of our church and for the sake of the mission that God wants us to bring to the world. I wrote for something else this week that the church's mission to the world seems to be fighting over masks and vaccines. And that's the witness we're giving, and that is not helpful. So I learn a lot from these rostered minister reports on how our pastors are doing, and I'm grateful to receive them. So a different world is coming. We're resisting it right now, but it is the world that God is bringing, and so it is going to come. We're not going to stop God from doing what God is going to do, and we get to decide whether we will participate in it or resist it. We'll see how that all unfolds in a sermon. So I'm Bishop Craig. This is Take One, and peace be with you.